Prince's untimely death in 2016 sent shockwaves through the world, leaving fans devastated and confused. As new details emerge, however, the story surrounding the legendary musician's passing has taken a darker turn. Many are beginning to question whether there was more to his death than initially reported. Among the most intriguing revelations are claims involving music industry heavyweights like Jay-Z and Diddy, with whom Prince had contentious relationships. Now, comedian Katt has come forward with alarming insights into Prince's warnings about these moguls, shedding new light on the mysterious circumstances leading up to the icon's tragic demise. For years, Prince was locked in a bitter battle with Warner Brothers Records, a fight that was about much more than money. It was about control. Warner owned the rights to his music masters, meaning the company profited from every song he had ever recorded under their contract. This led to one of the most famous moments in music history. Prince changed his name to an unpronounceable symbol in the 1990s as a form of protest, essentially giving Warner the finger while he fought to regain ownership of his work. Prince eventually succeeded, but it wasn't without cost. The battle left him disillusioned, and he grew increasingly suspicious of the music industry's power structures. A major point of contention for Prince was the behavior of other high-profile figures within the industry. He saw artists like Diddy as part of the problem. While Prince was in the trenches fighting for artistic freedom, Diddy had cozied up to Warner through his own label, Bad Boy Records, cementing a relationship with the company that Prince was fighting so hard against. This alliance did not sit well with Prince, who viewed Diddy's actions as hypocritical. After Prince passed away, Diddy publicly praised him, calling Prince an inspiration. But for those familiar with their history, this praise rang hollow. Many believe that Diddy was only furthering his own interests rather than genuinely honoring Prince's legacy. Jay's also found himself on the wrong side of Prince. In the years before his death, Prince was approached by Jay-Z, who wanted to secure a deal with Tidal, his streaming service, to acquire Prince's music catalog. Prince, however, wasn't fooled by Jay-Z's offer. He saw it as another attempt to control his art under the guise of a partnership. Prince rejected the deal, and after his death, his estate sued Roc Nation for exploiting his music by streaming it without proper authorization. This was another example of Prince's refusal to let industry figures dictate the terms of his career, even if they came with promises of collaboration. Prince was fiercely protective of his art and his fellow artists. He often spoke out against the exploitation of musicians, especially those who were just entering the industry. He urged young artists to fight for their rights and avoid the traps set by record labels and corporate interests. Prince was not just speaking in theoretical terms. He lived this philosophy. He famously removed his music from most streaming platforms, including Spotify and Apple Music, because he believed that they were exploiting artists. He allowed limited access to Tidal, but even that relationship soured after his death, adding fuel to the fire for those who believe Jay-Z took advantage of Prince's passing. One of the most striking contrasts in Prince's relationships within the industry was his distaste for Diddy's notorious freak-off parties. These events have become the stuff of legend, known for their debauchery and secrecy, with allegations of illicit activities taking place behind closed doors. In contrast, Prince's 3121 parties were designed to offer a positive and creative environment for artists. These gatherings were seen as a sanctuary from the toxic elements of the music business, a place where artists could connect, collaborate, and find refuge from the darker side of the industry. Fans now wonder if these parties were Prince's way of subtly rebelling against the industry norms and offering an alternative space for genuine artistic expression. The question of whether Prince's outspoken stance on the industry put him in danger is one that fans have been asking ever since his death was ruled an accidental overdose. Prince had only regained control of his music masters 2 years before his death, and many find the timing suspicious. His passing at his Paisley Park home in Minnesota has sparked countless conspiracy theories, with some believing that he was silenced by powerful industry figures who saw him as a threat. Prince had, after all, spent his career challenging the very people who held immense power in the business, and his warnings about exploitation were growing louder in his final years. Enter Katt, a close friend of Prince and a comedian known for speaking his mind. In recent interviews, Williams has suggested that Prince's death was not as simple as it seemed. According to Williams, Prince was aware of the dark forces at play in the industry and made deliberate efforts to distance himself from figures like Jay-Z and Diddy, who he believed were part of the problem. Prince's warnings about the exploitation of artists, Williams' claims were ignored, and his decision to keep his distance from certain industry moguls was seen as a direct threat to their influence. Prince's fight with Warner Brothers had long-lasting implications for the music industry. His battle wasn't just about his own music. It was about the future of all artists who wanted to retain control over their work. Warner Brothers, like many major labels, wanted to control every aspect of Prince's career, from when his albums would be released to how much new music he could create. But Prince was a creative force of nature, and he refused to let a corporation dictate the terms of his art. By 1993, his frustration boiled over, and he made the radical decision to change his name to a symbol, effectively cutting Warner out of the process. This act of rebellion became one of the defining moments of his career and cemented his legacy as an artist who refused to be controlled. His decision to speak out publicly against the music industry's practices earned him both admiration and enemies. He famously appeared with the word slave written on his face during performances, making it clear that he viewed the corporate control of his music as a form of modern-day slavery. Prince's message resonated with many, especially younger artists who were just starting out and were eager to avoid the traps that had ensnared so many before them. Prince's radical ideas about ownership and independence, however, were not well received by the industry's power brokers, and it's easy to see why. He was challenging the very foundation of their business model. Prince's determination to maintain control over his art extended to the internet age. In the mid-2000s, he began using alternative platforms to release his music, bypassing the traditional label system entirely. He was one of the first major artists to recognize the potential of the internet as a way to connect directly with fans without the interference of record labels. Prince pulled his music from most streaming services, including Spotify and Apple Music, and only allowed limited access through Tidal. But even that relationship was short-lived, as tensions arose between Prince's estate and Jay-Z's Roc Nation after his death. Diddy, meanwhile, continued to thrive in the industry despite his close ties to the very system that Prince had spent his life fighting against. Diddy's association with Warner Music and other industry power players like Lear Cohen, who has openly admitted to signing artists who promote destructive behavior, only further highlights the stark differences between him and Prince. While Prince fought for artistic freedom and integrity, Diddy's rise to success was built on his ability to navigate the corporate side of the business, where profits often come before principles. As more details about Prince's life and death come to light, fans are looking back on his warnings with a new sense of urgency. Prince saw the dangers of the music industry long before many others did, and he wasn't afraid to speak out against them, even when it wasn't the popular thing to do. As the controversy surrounding Diddy's parties and Jay-Z's business dealings continues to grow, it's clear that Prince's legacy as a protector of artists is more important now than ever before. In the end, the mystery surrounding Prince's death remains unresolved. Was his passing truly an accident, or was there something more sinister at play? Fans and conspiracy theorists alike are still searching for answers. What we do know is that Prince fought tirelessly for artistic freedom and the protection of artists from exploitation. His legacy lives on, and his warnings about the dangers of the music industry continue to resonate today. As we look back on Prince's incredible career and the impact he had on the music world, it's impossible not to wonder what he would have achieved if he'd been given more time. Prince was always ahead of his time, a true visionary who wasn't afraid to speak his truth. What's your take on the situation? Could there be more to Prince's death than we've been told? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and stay tuned for more updates on this developing story.